How long will the construction process take? Whew, this is a good one. So I like to set realistic expectations because the better the expectation, the better we can manage that your experience matches the expectation. So I'm TJ Norris with the Barndo Co. and we've been building Barndominiums for the last 4 years, and we have built hundreds of semi-custom and custom Barndominiums for clients, and we only build turnkey residential Barndominiums. And so I'm here to answer your questions. Today I got 7 questions that have came in that I wanted to attack one at a time and hopefully give you the answer you've been looking for. So the first one here is, what's the total cost including hidden fees? Good news is we don't have any hidden fees. We're pretty upfront with the way we price and the way we model our pricing. So if you have a conversation with someone, if there's a fee that we include in the build, you're going to know about it up front. We have some mandatory costs that go in addition to parts per unit and things like that and price per square foot. But what is the total cost? So depending on the builder, a lot of times what you're going to encounter when you're looking for costs is they're going to give you a rough estimate of costs. And then they're going to put you into a contract that is a cost plus contract, meaning they're going to take their best stab at it. They're going to go through and send it to an estimator. The estimator is going to give them a ballpark figure. And then as the build takes place, they're going to collect receipts and collect the invoices that they've paid out to subs. They're going to have a markup that they use as the builder for all of those things, and that varies by the builder. Some builders have different ones. And then as those bills come in for work that's been completed, they're going to put those in, apply their markup, and they're going to send you a invoice or do a draw request against your loan. And then at the end of the project, they're aiming to be as close to that estimation that they gave you as possible, but it could be over. It could be under, I guess, but if it's under, you got the most honest person on the planet Earth working for you. But typically, they're always over, right? That's why a lot of times lenders will build in these contingencies. If you're talking to a lender right now and they're telling you, hey, we want to hold a 10% contingency, sometimes they'll whittle it down to 5%, depending on your cash on hand and how you're qualified as a buyer. But typically, that's not uncommon to have a 10% contingency in there. And I've seen people have to come out of pocket to cover differences along the way with change orders and things like that. The way that we do it is a little bit different than most. We do a lot of the heavy lifting up front. So we have this onboarding process. You come in and then we walk through step by step and we select everything going into that home and fully extend that pricing to you on the front end. Then we lock you into a fixed rate contract. So once you sign, that is the price you pay. And we do a lot of detail planning so that we can eliminate or at least greatly reduce the need for change orders along the way, because change orders are budget breakers. And that's everything from the design fees to engineering to your pre-construction costs of grading, dirt work, driveway allowances, things like that. We build all that in on the front end so that you know what you're working with, and so that when you agree to build, you know exactly what it's going to cost you and you know exactly what you're going to pay. And that is the way we do it. So how do you get there total cost? It varies. The number one thing that we get online when we post a plan or post a finished product is, what does this cost? And it's hard to tell you because there's so many variables in there to where you may see the price that we deliver and you think it rules out the possibility for you, when in fact maybe they had hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades, or maybe they built on a piece of land with unsuitable soils, or they had an excessive driveway, or there was any number of factors that could have went in there that made their build a couple $100,000 more than what it would cost you to build. The same is true as if I told you the price and then you came in and you were excited and we got to the end with you and you were $100,000 over that price that I told you. There's so many variables in it. The way we base it for actual construction, it's anywhere from like $165 a square foot up to $225 a square foot. Depending on what region you're building in, what type of barndo you're building, what type of upgrades and porches and all these different things you're putting on there. But that gives you a ballpark estimate of what it's going to cost you to build, but it varies builder to builder. Talk to your builder. If they quote you some really low price per square foot, get the details on what that includes and make sure it's not just baseline everything, because chances are you're going to want to upgrade some things. Chances are that there may be some of those hidden fees you're talking about, and they're just going to market with that. Maybe they're not including, those grading costs or any of those other things in that when they're telling you that price, because they're trying to get you in the door. So that's why we try to refrain from sharing turnkey pricing on things. We can give you those ballparks, like I shared with you just a moment ago, but every build is different and everything we do is customized. to the client. We could build the same plan 10 times in a row. No way would we have 10 exact prices. Wouldn't happen. Now, SFH homes, we can get a little closer there. We actually advertise pricing for that on our website. But in addition to that, we also provide you a list of what it includes and what it doesn't include. So there will be some variables there as well in the grading and the site prep side of things. There's just two ways to do it. On like our Barndo product, it's all custom, so it's really up to you what it's going to cost you, and we can give you a frame of reference, which is really why onboarding is so important, because we want you to have all the details before you decide to build. We don't want you to just take a guess at it, a stab at it. We want to make sure we've covered all the details and got it nailed down to a tangible price that's fixed, and you know exactly what you're getting into, and we've answered all of your questions before we ever ask you to sign a contract. The second question here is, what are the zoning laws and the building codes in my area? So I have no idea, but you can access that information by going down to the local municipality and pulling the zoning codes for the particular parcel that you're trying to build on. You don't have a lot of this in like rural areas. There's not a ton of like zoning issues in rural areas. In bigger municipalities or cities where you're not just dealing with a county, but you're actually dealing with a city or a municipality that's big enough to have its own inspectors and teams like that to handle it, where you have to get additional permitting and business licenses and things to operate in that city, they do have some specific zoning laws. And so, you know, we've got into this a couple times with building in downtown. We actually built a couple of barns now in downtown Greenville, South Carolina, downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. And each of those represented different obstacles, and each were different type of builds. One was like an ADU garage with some upstairs living. Another one was a duplex on a basement with an upstairs and a downstairs separate living quarters. And the city just had some things that they wanted to imply there that, hey, there has to be this certain way of tying in, mainly sanitary waste, things like that. A lot of municipalities will have things that impact what trees can be taken down, what trees can't be added, or you may be in an area where everything has to look a certain way. There may be color restrictions, things like that. Another thing to think about is if you've bought a piece of land and it's in a HOA, homeowners association, or there's covenants, codes, and restrictions because it's part of a bigger development, it could even be large parcels. They could have things in there that limit what you can and can't do with that property, and you would have to get a copy of the CCRs or the HOA documents before you close on the property so you could review that and know what your limitations are, and you would have to provide us that document. But then as you get into the rural parts of the country, there's some areas where they don't even have a building code. The good thing with the Barndo Co. is when you come in with us and you sign up to build, we do a superset of structurals for every single home we build. Meaning a superset is we engineer from the foundation all the way up. And so the engineer is taking the zip code and the address of that property and doing all the necessary research to make sure that everything from a structural standpoint is compliant to code and that everything there is documented and is engineered sealed. So if there is a question that arises because maybe it's in an area where they haven't traditionally seen barndominiums, we have evidence that, hey, this is to code and this is the engineer that signed off on it. And that does help things along. Third question here, what warranties and guarantees are offered? Now, this is going to be a good one because this is going to vary builder to builder, right? And there's a big difference in a warranty and a guarantee. A warranty is a contractual document that says we cover X, Y, and Z, and it's specific to what is covered, and there's specific exclusions, and it's for a specific time period. And that warranty is contractual for those items for that duration of time, and that's what it is. A guarantee is a company says, hey, we guarantee this. And it could be they guarantee a streamlined process. One of our guarantees are that you're going to get a fixed rate contract. That is a Barndo Co. guarantee, right? You're not going to have an unknown expense going into construction with us. Another thing, a guarantee could be a supplement to a warranty. So in, South Carolina and most of the areas we build, the structural warranty that we have to provide to the state for the foundation and the basics of the home is 7 years. We do ours for 10. So there's basically a 3-year guarantee on top of the warranty that we have to provide, to where we're telling you, we guarantee you that we're going to stand behind that foundation for 10 years, even though it's not required by law. And so those are a good example of a guarantee was a window manufacturer here in the upstate of South Carolina that used to say, hey, we don't just stand behind our windows, we stand on them. And they wanted to show you that they, go the extra mile in how they construct that window. And so they would shoot TV commercials with them standing on the window pane to show you how strong the window was. That's an example of a guarantee. A warranty would be, hey, we're going to warranty this window's functionality for this duration of time, and here's a contract document between the two of us that says if you have an issue, you contact this warranty, and we'll come out and repair that as long as it's inside of the provided scope in the warranty. So the big difference in warranty and guarantee, don't get confused on that. Most home builders should have a warranty that they're putting in there, and if not, I would be concerned. And then guarantees are just things they may go above and beyond on. The fourth question: who will be responsible for obtaining permits and managing inspections? So if you're building with the Barndo Co., we're going to do all that for you. That's part of what we do. We're going to go in and pull the necessary documents. Now, you will play a role in submitting us necessary pertinent information regarding the survey of the lot, any closing documents, utility providers, things like that we would need. And there may be extra legwork for you if you bought in an area where we have to do a land disturbance permit, so there may be some additional steps to obtaining that construction permit. We will still file the paperwork and handle acquiring it for you, but there may be additional steps where you got to provide us additional information, but we will handle that for you completely. A lot of times you run into builders who will come in and say, hey, we'll build it for this, but we need you to go pull your own permits. You pull your own permits, and then you can hire us as a subcontractor of you, and you're your own GC, and we'll come in and do everything. The problem with that is you're responsible for that. Even if they offer to do it, you're responsible for the permit fees in addition to whatever they're charging you. You're responsible for getting the inspections called in, meeting with the inspectors if there was something that failed, and things are going to fail, right? You're not just going to pass first time every time. Things are going to fail. Every inspector is different. They're all going to scrupularize things differently, and you're going to have situations where you may fail an inspection multiple times for different things because different people came out at different segments of the same inspection and got re-inspected by someone completely different than the person who did the original inspection, and they caught one other little thing that they want to see remedied. Sometimes they'll stand there and let you do it on site. Sometimes they say, hey, get it done. I'll come by tomorrow. We'll get this thing approved. But at Barndo Co., we handle that for you. Most contractors are going to offer to handle that for you. Shouldn't be an issue. But if you're trying to self-GC or you're trying to cut as many corners as you can from a cost perspective and just hire someone that you found that says they can build it, but they're leaning on you for permits probably because they're not licensed and they don't have what's necessary to go and pull those permits. Not always, but a lot of times that's a red flag. Like, hey, this person's not licensed to pull a permit. They're going to lean on you to go and do it. At the Barndo Co., we're going to handle everything for you. You'll never have to worry about that. Fifth question: how long will the construction process take? Whew. This is a good one. So I like to set realistic expectations because the better the expectation, the better we can manage that your experience matches the expectation. So at the Barndo Co., when you come in and you go through the process with us and your deal closes and the funding is available, your contract, when you sign it, is going to say, hey, 12 months from this date. It's a 1-year contract. That's pretty regular, right? A 12-year contract is pretty much industry standard. Most banks, that's what they're looking for. They want it done inside of 12 months. So we're going to have a 12-month contract. Now, ours has a contingency. It says 12 months from this date or all contingencies are met. So what could be some contingencies? Permits are issued, right? Sometimes there's homework that you need to do. There's certain steps that you need to take so that we can go and acquire that permit. Sometimes, you're waiting on some engineering to get buttoned up. We had to change something on the preliminary with the county. They didn't like something, and so we will handle that. But the initial funding has to be received, and a permit has to be in hand. And typically, those are the two contingencies that could hold up that start date. And then from that day, effectively, you have 12 months. Now, our goal is to get you done inside of 6. Are we always going to? No, it depends on what are we building. If we're building a couple $1 million severely custom home and there's lead times and weather and different things and variables in there, it could stretch out to where we're running up on that 12 months. But the goal is to get it done in 6 months, right? We've had some projects that went from permit to door keys in 100 days. It's not often that happens. I think an average is around that 5 to 6 month mark. Some are going to take longer. Some are going to take less. The purpose of planning: read the contract with the builder you're working with. In our case, it's 12 months. So your current living situation, I would make sure that you're covered for at least that long, right? Even if you got to renew a lease or something, it's easier to pay a fee to back out of a lease early, or maybe you could sit down with them and explain the situation. Maybe you're going to sell a home, as we get closer. I would tend to lean towards what the contract states because you never know. There's a reason why we write it that way. You never know. There could be weather delays. There could be something happens where materials get held up. Everything from like a COVID-19 experience to a tariff experience. Like there could be numerous things that are outside of our control as a builder, your control as a consumer, that could delay the project. But with that being said, that's typically what you're looking like. Obviously some people are going to build a little quicker. Some are going to take a little longer. There's no right or wrong answer, but for us, we're going to tell you a year and we're going to aim to get it done in 6 months from all contingencies getting met. What floor plan options are available and can they be customized? This is a great question. So whether you're in an area we build in or not, you have access to our plans. You can go to thebarndoco.com. You can click on floor plans and you can look at those options and see what's available. And if you see something you like, you have the ability to click and purchase that plan right then. If you're in our build area, don't purchase plans. If you're planning on hiring us to build for you, you need to onboard. And in your onboarding, plans are included in that. If you purchase the plans and then come, we can prorate the onboarding to cover the other portions, but it's kind of duplicitous for you. You get a discount when you onboard and do it all at one time. If you see something there that you like, great. Purchase it. It's yours to get. It's yours to have, right? If you want to modify it, that's also an option, right? You see something, you're like, man, this is 90% it. I just wish the sink was in the island instead of on the window or on the perimeter countertop, or vice versa. Or maybe, man, if this bathroom was mirrored, or any of those things can be done as well. You just click on there. Hey, I want to modify this plan. We have minor modifications, major modifications, and there's a price that tracks with that. In your onboard, any minor modifications are included in a basic stock plan onboard. But then if you're one of those people that's like, this has been a dream of yours, you know exactly what you want to create something that's unique to you, we also offer full turnkey design process. So you can come on and onboard with us and we will create a custom floor plan that you will meet with our design team, have numerous meetings with them, get it all out of your head and onto paper, and we'll try to marry up your dreams with your budget and get you something that's unique to you. And we offer that all under one roof here at the Barndo Co. And that's what's available to you. So the options are, you see something you like, go get it. You see something you like, but you want to modify, that's available to you, or you want to start from scratch. The one thing I would caution you about with us is if you were to have purchased a set of plans elsewhere and then brought them to us, we're not going to be able to use those plans in their entirety. And so you're going to have some additional costs. One, we're going to have to reach out to the designer and let them know, hey, they brought us these plans and we're going to rework them from a construction standpoint. Like just heads up, you're going to have to pay our team to go in and configure some things so that plan is conducive to the way we build, because we're not building a conventional home. We're building a certain style and a certain process. And sometimes a window may have to move, or maybe there has to be some additional engineering to create a header space, or maybe there's just something about that plan that's not really conducive that's going to cause you some additional costs or something where we can simplify it or enhance it to make it fit what you're trying to do. Just be wary of that. If you see a plan and you love it, feel free to buy it. But when you bring it, you're not just going to be able to share a PDF with us and us take that as, hey, this covers your cost of plans. You're still going to have to pay to have a set of plans reconstructed so that we have all the necessary information on that set of plans. So when it goes into the field, it looks just like every other set of plans that our project managers are used to working off of, and they can quickly find the information that they need to access quickly. Everything's there for the municipality. Our engineers have the information on the preliminary plans, so when they're going to build the super set of structurals, they have the ability to reference that, and everything aligns and fits the process. That would be the only caveat to floor plan options. And then lastly, where is my water, electrical, sewer access coming from, and do I need to handle that? Yes and no. So we need you to tell us who's providing utilities to your property, right? If you're on a sewer, cool. We just need to know who manages and maintains that sewer. If you're going to be doing a septic, then we need to see a copy of a permit where the septic's been approved, or we can connect you with the people to get that process started. And they're going to kind of tell us where it has to be. Right? They have the final say. And then once we have that information, that kind of helps alleviate the septic sanitary sewer piece of the equation. Water could be you're on a public water source. And then, we just have to determine, do you have a tap already? Do we need to have the water company install a tap? How much line is it going to take to go from your tap to your home, depending on how far off the road you are or where you're building on the property? And we can get those costs. That's included in our onboarding prep. Or maybe you're in a position where you have to dig a well. Awesome. We can also do that and get someone out to give us a quote on doing a well. Maybe you already had someone come out and give you a quote for the well. Cool. We'll work with them. We'll get all that built into the proposal. And then electrical, same thing. Who's carrying it? Are you on a big provider? Are you on a co-op provider? Are they going to charge you to get power to your home? Sometimes they don't. Some people do. It just depends. And there's variables in that as well. Are you within their tolerance? That they'll allow up to so many feet. Because it makes sense for them, or are you beyond that because you've got a larger piece of property, or you're kind of trying to get further away than where they're servicing currently, and they're going to have to do some additional work. They may charge you for that work, but we'll help you figure out all that. We just mainly need you to connect us to the utility providers, and then we can help you navigate those situations along the way. But if you have any questions that you would like to have answered on the show, feel free to drop them in the comments here, and we will look at those and circle back and try to answer those questions. Our goal is to give you peace of mind and give you as much information as we can so that you can go out and turn your dream into reality and have confidence that you're making the right decision for your video. And then, as a matter of fact, we've done several of these episodes already. You can see the Q&A video here. You can click that and go watch us answer other awesome Barndominium questions. And we'll see you over on that video, and we appreciate you for tuning in.